October 31st, 1984, New Delhi, India. The Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, walked through the gardens of her official residence at 1 Safdarjung Road. It was a beautiful autumn morning. She was on her way to meet the actor Peter Ustinov for an interview. 2 of her bodyguards stood at the gate. They were Sikhs, members of India's Sikh religious minority. Their names were Bent Singh and Satwant Singh. As Indira approached, both men drew their weapons. Bent Singh pulled out his revolver and fired 3 shots. As Indira fell, Satwant Singh emptied his automatic weapon into her body. 30 bullets struck her. She was rushed to the hospital. Doctors tried desperately to save her, but she had lost too much blood. At 2:20 p.m, Indira Gandhi was declared dead. She was 66 years old. She had been Prime Minister of India for nearly 16 years. She had survived 1 war, several assassination attempts, and a controversial emergency rule that suspended democracy itself. But in the end, she was killed by her own bodyguards, men she had trusted with her life. Why? Because 5 months earlier, Indira had ordered the Indian army to storm the Golden Temple in Amritsar, the holiest site in Sikhism, to flush out Sikh separatists. Over 500 people died, including pilgrims. The temple was damaged. To millions of Sikhs, it was an unforgivable sacrilege, and Bant Singh and Satwant Singh had decided to exact revenge. Within hours of the assassination, violence erupted across India. Mobs of Hindus attacked Sikhs. They dragged Sikh men from buses and trains and burned them alive. They doused Sikh homes with kerosene and set them on fire. For 3 days, the police did nothing, the government did nothing, and when the violence finally ended, over 3,000 Sikhs were dead. It was one of the darkest moments in modern Indian history, and it was the direct result of decisions made by one woman, Indira Gandhi, who came from India's most powerful political dynasty. This is the story of the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty, a family that has dominated Indian politics for over 70 years, a family that produced 3 prime ministers and shaped the destiny of the world's largest democracy. It's a story of power, ambition, and tragedy, of brilliance and corruption, of independence and authoritarianism. It's a story of how one family became synonymous with India itself, and how that legacy has been both a blessing and a curse. This is the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty, power and the curse of India. The story begins not in India, but in the dying days of the British Raj. In the early 1900s, India was the crown jewel of the British Empire. Over 300 million people lived under British rule. The British controlled India's economy, its military, and its government. But resistance was growing. A movement for independence was gathering strength. And at the centre of that movement was a man named Mohandas Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, as the world would come to know him. Gandhi preached non-violent resistance, civil disobedience, peaceful protest. He organised boycotts of British goods. He led marches. He went to jail repeatedly. And slowly the British Empire began to crack. Among Gandhi's most devoted followers was a young man from a wealthy Kashmiri Brahmin family. His name was Jawaharlal Nehru. Nehru was born in 1889 in Allahabad, a prosperous city in northern India. His father, Motilal Nehru, was a successful lawyer, one of the richest men in the city. Young Jawaharlal grew up in luxury. He was educated at Harrow in England and Cambridge University. He trained as a barrister in London. He lived the life of an anglicised Indian elite. But when he returned to India in 1912, something changed. He saw the poverty, the oppression, the injustice of colonial rule. In 1916, Nehru met Mahatma Gandhi, and his life was transformed. Nehru joined the independence movement. He gave up his comfortable life and dedicated himself to the cause. He was arrested multiple times and spent over 9 years in British prisons. But Nehru was not just an activist. He was a brilliant intellectual, a gifted writer, and a charismatic speaker. He articulated a vision for independent India, a modern, secular, democratic nation. By the 1940s, Nehru had become Gandhi's closest ally and the heir apparent to lead India after independence. On August 15th, 1947, India achieved independence. The British Raj ended, and Jawaharlal Nehru became India's first Prime Minister, but independence came at a terrible cost. The British had agreed to partition India along religious lines. A Muslim-majority nation called Pakistan would be carved out of India's northwest and northeast regions. The rest would remain India. With a Hindu majority but a secular government, the partition was a catastrophe. Overnight, millions of Hindus in Pakistan and Muslims in India found themselves on the wrong side of a border. Mass migrations began. 10 to 20 million people fled their homes. Hindus and Sikhs fled from Pakistan to India. Muslims fled from India to Pakistan. And violence erupted. Trains carrying refugees were attacked. Entire villages were massacred. Women were raped and kidnapped. Bodies piled up in the streets. By the time the violence ended, between 1 and 2 million people were dead. It was one of the largest mass migrations and one of the deadliest episodes of ethnic violence in human history. Nehru was heartbroken. He had dreamed of a united India. Instead, the country was torn apart. But he had work to do. He had to build a new nation from the ruins of empire and partition. Jawaharlal Nehru served as Prime Minister of India for 17 years, from 1947 until his death in 1964. He transformed India. He built dams, factories, and universities. He established democratic institutions. He championed secularism in a deeply religious country. Nehru believed in democracy, socialism, and non-alignment. He refused to ally with either the United States or the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Instead, he helped found the non-aligned movement, a group of countries that refused to take sides. He also believed in modernization and science. He famously said that dams were the temples of modern India. He invested heavily in education and technology. But Nehru also made mistakes. He was idealistic, sometimes naively so. He trusted China's promises of friendship, only to be shocked when China invaded India in 1962 and seized territory in the Himalayas. He centralized economic planning, creating a massive bureaucracy that stifled growth. India's economy stagnated under socialist policies, and he failed to address poverty effectively. Despite his best intentions, millions of Indians remained desperately poor. But Nehru was beloved. He was India's founding father, the man who had led the country to independence and built its democratic institutions. When he died of a heart attack in May 1964, the entire nation mourned. Nehru had only one child, a daughter named Indira. Indira was born in 1917. She grew up in the midst of the independence movement. Her father was constantly in and out of jail. Her mother, Kamala, died of tuberculosis when Indira was just 18. Indira was lonely, shy, and intensely devoted to her father. She became his confidant, his companion, and eventually his political heir. In 1942, Indira married Feroz Gandhi, a Parsi journalist and political activist. There was no family relation to Mahatma Gandhi. It was simply a coincidence of names, but the association would prove useful. Indira and Feroz had 2 sons, Rajiv, born in 1944, and Sanjay, born in 1946. But the marriage was troubled. Indira was devoted to her father and his political career. Feroz felt neglected. They spent long periods apart. Feroz died in 1960 of a heart attack, leaving Indira a widow at 43. After Nehru died in 1964, Indira initially stayed out of the spotlight. The new Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri, appointed her Minister of Information and Broadcasting. But Shastri died suddenly in 1966. And the ruling Congress Party needed a leader. They chose Indira Gandhi. Not because they thought she was brilliant or capable, but because they thought she would be weak. Easy to control. A figurehead. They were catastrophically wrong. Indira Gandhi became Prime Minister of India in January 1966 at age 48. At first, the party elders, the syndicate, so as they were called, tried to control her. They made decisions and expected her to rubber stamp them. Indira played along. For a while. Then in 1969, she struck. She nationalized India's banks. She broke with the party elders. She split the Congress Party, taking most of its members with her. It was a political masterstroke. Overnight, Indira went from a puppet to the most powerful politician in India. She positioned herself as a champion of the poor. Her slogan was Garibi Hatao, remove poverty. She promised land reform, socialist policies, and a stronger India. In 1971, she achieved her greatest triumph. Pakistan was in crisis. East Pakistan, separated from West Pakistan by over 1,000 miles of Indian territory, was rebelling. The Pakistani military was brutally suppressing the rebellion, killing hundreds of thousands. Millions of refugees fled into India. Indira decided to intervene. In December 1971, India went to war with Pakistan. The war lasted just 13 days. India crushed the Pakistani military. East Pakistan became the independent nation of Bangladesh. Indira was hailed as a hero. She had won a war, liberated millions, and humiliated Pakistan. Her popularity soared, but power was starting to corrupt her. By the mid-1970s, Indira Gandhi was facing serious problems. The economy was struggling, inflation was high, unemployment was rising, there were strikes, protests, and political opposition. In 1975, a court found Indira guilty of electoral malpractice in the 1971 elections. The ruling called for her to be removed from office. Indira refused. Instead, she did something shocking. On June 25, 1975, she declared a state of emergency. She suspended civil liberties. She censored the press. She arrested thousands of political opponents, including journalists, activists, and rival politicians. She ruled by decree. The emergency, as it became known, lasted 21 months. It was the darkest period in Indian democracy's history. During the emergency, Indira's younger son, Sanjay Gandhi, wielded enormous power despite holding no official position. He was 28 years old, arrogant, and ruthless. Sanjay launched forced sterilization campaigns. Millions of men, mostly poor, mostly from lower castes, were rounded up and sterilized, often against their will. It was a human rights catastrophe. Sanjay also ordered the demolition of slums in Delhi. Bulldozers destroyed homes, displacing hundreds of thousands of people. The emergency was supposed to restore order. Instead, it revealed Indira's authoritarian instincts. She was willing to destroy democracy to hold onto power. In 1977, Indira made a miscalculation. She lifted the emergency and called for elections, confident she would win. She was wrong. The Indian people were furious. They voted her out in a landslide. For the first time since independence, the Congress Party lost power. And Indira Gandhi was no longer Prime Minister. But Indira didn't give up. She spent the next 3 years rebuilding her political base. She portrayed herself as a victim. She campaigned tirelessly. And in 1980 she won. She returned as Prime Minister. But her second term would be even more turbulent than her first. Sanjay Gandhi, Indira's younger son and political heir, died in June 1980. He was piloting a small plane when it crashed in Delhi. He was just 33 years old. Indira was devastated. Sanjay had been her favourite. She had groomed him to succeed her. Now she turned to her other son, Rajiv. Rajiv Gandhi was everything Sanjay was not. He was soft-spoken, polite and uninterested in politics. He was a pilot for Indian Airlines. He had a quiet, happy life with his Italian-born wife, Sonia, and their 2 children. But Indira needed him. She convinced Rajiv to enter politics. He won Sanjay's parliamentary seat in a by-election. And suddenly Rajiv was being groomed as the next Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Indira was facing a crisis in Punjab, India's northwestern state. Punjab had a Sikh majority, and some Sikhs wanted independence, a separate nation called Khalistan. The movement was led by a radical preacher named Jarnail Singh Phindranwale. He and his armed followers had taken refuge inside the Golden Temple in Amritsar, the holiest site in Sikhism. Phindranwale used the temple as a base. He stockpiled weapons. He gave speeches calling for violence. Indira faced a terrible choice. She could negotiate, but Phindranwale refused to compromise. She could leave him alone, but the violence was escalating, or she could storm the temple. In June 1984, Indira ordered Operation Blue Star. The Indian army surrounded the Golden Temple and attacked. The battle lasted 3 days. Tanks fired at the temple. Soldiers fought room to room. Pindrinwal and his followers fought back. When it was over, Pindrinwal was dead, but so were hundreds of others, militants, soldiers, and innocent pilgrims who had been trapped inside. The temple was damaged. The Sikh community was traumatized. Many saw it as an unforgivable desecration. 4 months later, Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her Sikh bodyguards. Within hours of Indira's death, Rajiv Gandhi was sworn in as Prime Minister. He was 40 years old. Rajiv had no political experience. He had been an MP for less than 4 years, but he was a Nehru Gandhi, and in India, that name meant everything. Rajiv's first test came immediately: the anti-Sikh violence that erupted after his mother's assassination. For 3 days, mobs killed Sikhs across Delhi and northern India. Police stood by and did nothing. Some Congress Party leaders allegedly organized the violence. Rajiv did not act decisively. He did not call in the army. He did not condemn the violence clearly. Later, he made a statement that would haunt him. "When a big tree falls, the earth shakes." It sounded like he was justifying the massacre. The Sikh community never forgave him. Despite this, Rajiv won a massive electoral victory in December 1984. The sympathy wave after his mother's assassination gave him the largest parliamentary majority in Indian history. Rajiv came to power promising modernization. He was young, tech-savvy, and seemed like a fresh start after his mother's authoritarian rule. He liberalized parts of the economy. He promoted computers and technology. He tried to reduce bureaucracy. But Rajiv was also naive and surrounded by the wrong people. Corruption scandals began to emerge. The biggest was the Bofors scandal. In 1986, India bought howitzer guns from the Swedish company Bofors. It later emerged that massive bribes, totaling millions of dollars, had been paid to middlemen to secure the deal. Allegations surfaced that the bribes reached the highest levels of government, possibly even Rajiv's inner circle. Rajiv denied everything, but the scandal destroyed his clean image. By 1989, Rajiv's popularity had collapsed. He lost the election, but he remained the leader of the Congress Party, and everyone assumed he would return as Prime Minister eventually. On May 21, 1991, Rajiv Gandhi was campaigning in Tamil Nadu, a state in southern India. He was running for Prime Minister again. Polls suggested he might win. At a campaign rally in the town of Sriperumbudur, Rajiv walked through a crowd of supporters. A woman approached him with a garland of flowers, a common gesture of respect in India. As Rajiv bent down to accept the garland, the woman detonated a bomb strapped to her body. The explosion killed Rajiv instantly. It also killed 14 others, including the bomber. The assassination was carried out by the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, the LTTE, a militant group fighting for Tamil independence in Sri Lanka. Rajiv, during his time as Prime Minister, had sent Indian troops to Sri Lanka to fight the LTTE. The group had never forgiven him. Rajiv Gandhi was 46 years old. He had been Prime Minister for 5 years, and now he was dead, like his mother and his grandfather before him, another member of the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty destroyed by the violence they had tried to control. After Rajiv's death, the Congress Party was in shock. The Nehru-Gandhi dynasty, which had dominated Indian politics for over 40 years, seemed finished. Rajiv's children, Rahul and Priyanka, were only 21 and 19 years old, too young to lead. The party turned to Rajiv's widow, Sonia Gandhi. Sonia Maino was born in Italy in 1946. She met Rajiv in Cambridge in the 1960s. They fell in love and married in 1968. Sonia had never been interested in politics. She was a private person who focused on raising her children. Even when Rajiv became Prime Minister, she stayed out of the spotlight. After Rajiv's death, she refused all requests to enter politics. She mourned. She focused on her children. But the Congress Party kept asking. They needed a Gandhi. The name had power. It could win elections. Finally, in 1998, 7 years after Rajiv's death, Sonia agreed. She became president of the Congress Party. It was a controversial decision. Critics attacked her as a foreigner. She was born in Italy, they said. She barely spoke Hindi. What right did she have to lead India? But Sonia was tougher than anyone expected. She revived the Congress Party. She led it to victory in the 2004 elections. Many expected her to become Prime Minister, but Sonia made a surprising decision. She declined the position and appointed Manmohan Singh, a respected economist, as Prime Minister instead. Some say she declined because of the foreign-born issue. She didn't want to give critics ammunition. Others say she feared for her safety, given what had happened to her mother-in-law and husband. Either way, Sonia remained the power behind the throne. She controlled the party. Manmohan Singh consulted her on all major decisions. For 10 years, from 2004 to 2014, Sonia was arguably the most powerful person in India, even though she held no official government position. But the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty was not finished. Sonia's children, Rahul and Priyanka, were now adults, and the party, and the country, expected them to carry on the family legacy. Rahul Gandhi entered politics in 2004 at age 34. He won his father's old parliamentary seat. He was young, good-looking, and bore a striking resemblance to his father. The media called him India's most eligible bachelor. But Rahul struggled. He gave awkward speeches. He seemed uncomfortable with the demands of politics. He lacked his grandmother's ruthlessness and his grandfather Nehru's intellect. Critics mocked him as a reluctant prince, someone who was in politics only because of his last name. In 2013, Rahul became vice president of the Congress Party. Many expected he would lead the party into the 2014 elections and become prime minister, but the election was a disaster. The Congress Party suffered its worst defeat in history. A new party, the BJP, led by Narendra Modi, won in a landslide. Modi was everything Rahul was not: decisive, charismatic, and politically ruthless. He positioned himself as a strong leader who would make India great again. Rahul, by contrast, seemed weak and out of touch. The Nehru-Gandhi dynasty, which had dominated Indian politics for 70 years, was suddenly irrelevant. In 2019, the Congress Party lost again. This time, even worse. Rahul took responsibility and resigned as party president. He was humiliated. The dynasty seemed finished, but the party refused to let go. They couldn't imagine a Congress Party without a Gandhi. So they turned to Rahul's mother, Sonia, again. At 72 years old, she returned as interim president. Then, in 2020, Rahul made a partial comeback. He didn't return as president, but he remained active in politics. His sister, Priyanka Gandhi, also became more involved. Many Indians see Priyanka as more charismatic and politically savvy than Rahul. There are rumours she may eventually lead the party, but for now, the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty is a shadow of what it once was. So what is the legacy of the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty? On one hand, they shaped modern India. Nehru built democratic institutions. Indira Gandhi won wars and established India as a regional power. Rajiv began economic liberalisation. They championed secularism in a deeply religious country. They promoted social justice and defended the rights of minorities. But on the other hand, they also damaged India. Indira suspended democracy during the emergency. She presided over forced sterilizations and slum demolitions. She ordered the storming of the Golden Temple, leading to her assassination and anti-Sikh pogroms. Rajiv allowed corruption to flourish. He failed to stop the massacre of Sikhs. His government was implicated in the Bofors scandal, and the dynasty as a whole fostered a culture of sycophancy and nepotism. The Congress Party became a family business. Merit mattered less than loyalty to the Gandhis. The Nehru-Gandhi dynasty also raises uncomfortable questions about democracy. Is it truly democratic when one family dominates politics for generations? When Rahul Gandhi runs for office, is it because he's the best candidate, or because his last name is Gandhi? When the Congress Party refused to move on after Rajiv's death and kept begging Sonia to lead, was that democracy, or dynastic desperation? India calls itself the world's largest democracy, and in many ways it is. Elections are free and fair. Power changes hands peacefully. Institutions are strong. But the dominance of the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty suggests something else. That in India, family name still matters more than anything else. This isn't unique to the Nehru-Gandhis. Many Indian political parties are dynastic. Regional parties are often controlled by single families. Even the BJP, which attacks the Gandhis for dynasticism, has its own nepotistic tendencies. But the Nehru-Gandhis are different. They're not just a political dynasty, they're a national dynasty. For 70 years they have been synonymous with India itself. The decline of the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty coincides with the rise of another vision for India, Hindu nationalism. Narendra Modi and the BJP represent a fundamentally different idea of what India should be. They believe India is a Hindu nation, that its identity is rooted in Hinduism. The Nehru-Gandhis, by contrast, believed in secularism. They believed India was a multi-religious, multicultural nation, that Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians and others were all equally Indian. This is the great ideological battle in India today, and the Nehru-Gandhis are losing. Modi has won 2 massive electoral victories. He has marginalised the Congress party. He has rewritten the narrative of Indian history, portraying Nehru as a failure and himself as the true inheritor of India's greatness. Under Modi, Hindu nationalism has become mainstream. Minority communities, especially Muslims, feel increasingly marginalised. Secularism is under attack. The Nehru-Gandhi vision of India, pluralistic, secular, inclusive, is fading. But it's too early to write off the dynasty entirely. Indian politics is cyclical. Modi is powerful now, but he won't last forever. Economic challenges, social tensions and political overreach could weaken the BJP. And when that happens, the Congress party and the Nehru-Gandhis may get another chance. Rahul is only 53. Priyanka is 52. They have decades of political life ahead of them, and the name still has power. In many parts of India, especially rural areas, the Gandhi name is still revered. Nehru is still remembered as the founding father. Indira is still seen as the leader who stood up to Pakistan. Younger generations may not remember, but older Indians do. And in Indian politics, that matters. The Nehru-Gandhi dynasty is also a victim of its own success. They built democratic institutions so strong that they no longer need a dynasty to hold them together. India's democracy has matured. Regional parties have emerged. New leaders have risen. The country is no longer dependent on one family. In a way, this is the Nehru-Gandhis' greatest achievement. They made themselves obsolete, but it's also their tragedy, because they can't let go. The Congress party clings to the Gandhis, and the Gandhis, despite their reluctance, keep returning to politics. It's a cycle of dependency, and it's not healthy for India or for the family. There's also the question of sacrifice. The Nehru-Gandhis have paid a heavy price for power. Indira was assassinated. Rajiv was assassinated. Sanjay died in a plane crash. Sonia lost her husband. Rahul and Priyanka lost their father. They grew up with armed guards, constant security threats, and the knowledge that their family name could get them killed. Is power worth that price? For Nehru, the answer was yes. He believed in India's independence and was willing to sacrifice everything for it. For Indira, the answer was also yes. She craved power and was willing to destroy democracy to keep it. For Rajiv, the answer was more complicated. He didn't want power, but he accepted it out of duty. For Sonia, Rahul and Priyanka, the answer is unclear. They seem ambivalent. They enter politics, then retreat. They lead, then step back. Perhaps they know the cost, and perhaps they're not sure it's worth paying. The Nehru-Gandhi dynasty is also a story of women and power. India is a deeply patriarchal society. Women face discrimination, violence and marginalisation. Yet India has had a female Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi, long before most Western countries. And for much of the past 20 years, the most powerful person in India was Sonia Gandhi, a woman who didn't even hold a government position. This paradox is quintessentially Indian. Progressive and conservative at the same time, modern and traditional. The Nehru-Gandhi women, Indira, Sonia, Priyanka, have shown that women can lead in India. But they have also faced sexism, criticism, and double standards that male leaders don't face. Indira was called the only man in a cabinet of old women. Sonia was attacked as a foreign-born outsider. Priyanka is often reduced to her looks and family connections. The dynasty has empowered women in some ways, but it hasn't eliminated sexism in Indian politics. Another aspect of the Nehru-Gandhi legacy is corruption. Indian politics is notoriously corrupt. Bribery, kickbacks, and nepotism are widespread. The Nehru-Gandhis are not uniquely corrupt, but they have presided over a system where corruption flourished. The Bofors scandal, the Commonwealth Games scandal, numerous other cases of alleged corruption during Congress Party rule. Rahul Gandhi has tried to position himself as a clean politician, but the family's legacy makes that difficult. And the perception, fair or not, is that the Nehru-Gandhis are part of an old, corrupt political elite, that they represent the past, not the future. Modi has successfully exploited this perception. He portrays himself as an outsider fighting a corrupt establishment. And the Nehru-Gandhis are exhibit A of that establishment. The dynasty's relationship with Pakistan is also complicated. Nehru fought 3 wars with Pakistan, one in 1947, one in 1965, and the 1962 war with China that Pakistan sat out. Indira fought and won the 1971 war, creating Bangladesh. Rajiv tried to negotiate peace but failed. Sonia and Manmohan Singh also tried to improve relations with limited success. The Nehru-Gandhis have always believed in dialogue with Pakistan, but Indian public opinion has hardened, especially after terrorist attacks like the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Modi, by contrast, takes a more aggressive stance. He authorized cross-border military strikes. He portrays himself as tough on Pakistan and terrorism. This has resonated with Indian voters, and it has made the Nehru-Gandhis look weak by comparison. The dynasty's economic record is also mixed. Nehru embraced socialism and central planning. This led to slow growth, bureaucracy, and inefficiency, the Hindu rate of growth, as economists mockingly called it. Indira continued socialist policies and nationalized industries. The economy stagnated. Rajiv began liberalization, but cautiously. It wasn't until 1991, under Prime Minister Narasimha Rao and Finance Minister Manmohan Singh, that India truly opened its economy. And even then it was done reluctantly, in response to a financial crisis. Since liberalization, India's economy has grown rapidly. Hundreds of millions have been lifted out of poverty. India has become a major global economy. But the Nehru-Gandhis get little credit. The BJP and other parties claim the credit instead. The irony is that the Nehru-Gandhis built the foundation, education, infrastructure, democratic institutions that made growth possible. But their socialist policies also held India back for decades. The Nehru-Gandhi dynasty is also a story of missed opportunities. Imagine if Nehru had embraced free markets instead of socialism. India might have developed decades earlier. Imagine if Indira had not declared the emergency. Indian democracy would not have been scarred. Imagine if Rajiv had been more decisive and less corrupt. India's economic takeoff might have started sooner. Imagine if Rahul had been more politically astute. The Congress Party might still be relevant. The dynasty has had enormous power and resources, but they have often squandered them. Today, the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty faces an uncertain future. The Congress Party is weak. It holds power in only a handful of states. Its national influence has collapsed. Rahul and Priyanka are trying to rebuild, but it's an uphill battle. Modi and the BJP dominate. They have rewritten the rules of Indian politics. They have a formidable political machine, a loyal base and control of the narrative. Can the Nehru-Gandhis come back? History suggests they might. They've been counted out before, in 1977, after the emergency, only to return. But this time feels different. The old certainties are gone. The family name no longer guarantees victory. If the dynasty is to survive, Rahul and Priyanka will need to earn their place, not because of their last name, but despite it. The Nehru-Gandhi dynasty has shaped India for over 70 years. 3 generations have led the country. They have fought wars, built institutions, and defended democracy, even when they betrayed it. But the dynasty is also a symbol of everything wrong with Indian politics: nepotism, entitlement, and the belief that certain families are destined to rule. India is changing. It is younger, more aspirational, less deferential. The old ways are dying, and perhaps the dynasty is too. But one thing is certain: the story of the Nehru Gandhis is inseparable from the story of India itself. Their triumphs and tragedies, their brilliance and failures, these are India's triumphs and tragedies too. For better or worse, they are woven into the fabric of the nation, and understanding them is essential to understanding modern India. This has been Bloodline Chronicles.